What's up, guys? This is Eric McHugh, and you're watching the Break It Down Show.
Thanks for coming on the show, man. I appreciate you doing that. I use Podmatch, just one of those shows when I'm using Podmatch. If you're on Podmatch, it's a great spot if you want to be on shows or have people on your shows. Not a commercial, just something that I've found useful, so I thought I'd pass that information along. Hey, so I'm interested in, I'm 54. I'll be 55 next month, right? So I'm not old, but I'm not young. And I've done a lot of shows about technology and what was coming, but that's been about 8 years since I stopped doing that even. And the world has moved a lot. Web3 was starting to come out and be a thing maybe, I don't know, 8 to 7 years ago anyhow, but not just what you guys are doing, but everything. Neuralink is going on. We're landing rockets and grabbing them with chopsticks. And I mean, oh my gosh, it's amazing. Are you blown away by this, or is this like normal for you because you're in that world?
No, the thing is, I try to find fascination in anything I can. So, like, whether it be walking in nature or seeing, like, Elon land, shoot a rocket in space and land it back on the thing, like, that is legitly insane. And I love seeing that because it helps all of us, too. Now we waste less fuel on space travel, and who knows, maybe we may even make it to Mars.
Yeah, it's a well, again, like because I got to talk to a lot of people, and some of these founders are, I guess folks don't often know this, but when you found a company, you may have found it with like the express purpose of saying, this is a thing, a little tiny, talk about a niche. This is a cranny on a niche that if we get this figured out, everybody will want to buy it. And someone will just buy our company and we'll go on and make the next thing. And so I was taught by a lot of entrepreneurial people in the tech space to never bet against software engineers because they'll find some connection. They'll link some part of the spider web together and blow your mind with something like testing for the speed and health of all server fans in all of your servers around the world. And you can like start to see when it starts to shake and get in there and swap it out and just stuff like that. You'd never think about all of the micro and the nano and the pico efficiencies that are available to businesses.
Yeah, no, right. And think about the never bet against software engineers. I actually think that's changing. I would never bet against the 10x software engineers, meaning the ones who can really get cranking out code. Like for me, example with ChatGPT and AI, I can produce code to make a website. So I would say the run-of-the-mill software engineers, they may have to. Well, I think most of them can advance, but like I know some crazy like blockchain developers, AI developers who are just like in their whole coding and they're using ChatGPT to leverage to create mass amounts of code to work on multiple different projects at a time. So I find that interesting too.
It must be that someone, because my buddy Brad, I don't know if he'll join us or not, but he was going to come in. He's talking about building your own LLMs and other smart things and having them be not connected to the web, so they're private, so someone else can't. Because look, if someone else builds it, they can look at whatever you're doing. But all of those things as well, and then so maybe making an AI machine that is specifically designed to build code. I mean, that seems like that's a real thing too.
No, yeah, I could say AI. The way I look at AI, it's basically a tool that can recognize patterns at scale and use cluster analysis to find connections within those patterns. And I think the way that humans can use it is, I think, can help us leverage our natural skills to better serve everyone. So, for example, like I said, the coders, like they're producing code much faster than they would normally. Like you still need that human element. They still have to make sure everything works, but they're using it as a tool. For example, like a neurosurgeon. 10 years ago, like you're a neurosurgeon in LA, your clients are in LA. It is what it is. Like I can't operate from someone from Thailand, but now with like, let's say you're a neurosurgeon connected to a robot in Thailand. So now I can work on people within LA. And now I can also operate remotely with a robot within Thailand. And now the top neurosurgeons are getting more clients, which means that they will get more business, people get more services. And I think the people who aren't in the top, they get to find better things that they can do with their time to better serve the collective. But dude, it's crazy out there. I'm personally really excited for the tech. I think it's going to help uplift humanity. So let's get it.
But the folks in your end always want the good things, right?
Yeah.
I also remember that we were doing a show with the company that was going to do predictive analysis, among other things, on song choice. And I'm like, there's no way you can get in front of me on what I like. There's just no way. Sure, there's 250 songs I might listen to normally, but they're not the songs I'd pick. Right. So I'm like, oh, yeah, that's a great song. Oh, yeah, it's a great song. But that's different than anticipating what I want to listen to now and when I want to listen to something new. And so it's always a positive outlook. You guys wouldn't go forward if you're like, I hate this idea straight ahead. Right. You have to love it. How do you temper that optimism with realism, and like these things are hard. Like driving a car with a robot is happening today. However, every percentage point of improvement, it just costs exponentially more money at this point.
Yeah, so in terms of the positive outlook, I know it can be kind of annoying when someone's like positivity this, positivity that. So I'm from the belief that you attract what you think of. So if you're thinking positively, you attract positive experience in your life. So that's the logic behind that. But of course, not everything is roses. Like in terms of tempering, you have to balance everything out. So you have to account for both sides. You have to be empathetic. Like, oh, this could go wrong, this could go right. And as things go wrong, you just have to adapt, because the name of the game is constant adaptability. And then you can put the positive spin on this. Like, for example, startup land, it's like you try 10 things fail. It's like, oh, that kind of sucks. I wasted a bunch of time. You try the 11th thing starts working, like, yay. And then it stops working. And you're just like, now, okay, well, at least I found 10 things that didn't work. So now I'm closer to the answer. So I think that balances both worlds. It's like, yes, not everything goes right. I mean, most of the time things go wrong, but you can always put that positive spin about it. So like, technology and events, in my opinion, are inherently neutral, and it's what the meaning is assigned by. Like, for example, AI, it could be a tool to end the world, but it could be a tool to uplift the world. So it can do both things. Sure. And I think most people building and most users are positive. So I think it's going to help uplift the world. And events, like something could be neutral, something could be, or any event that happens is neutral. You just add a meaning to it. It's like, for example, my car breaks down in the morning. Well, that would suck. I don't want my car to break down, but who knows? It may have prevented me from an accident. You never know. And then that positivity keeps you going. Because I found positivity, it's like when you're around positive people, you get energy and you feel energized. When you're around negative people, you feel drained. And it's hard to either build companies or do whatever you need to do or better serve people if you're feeling drained all the time.
Yeah, you don't want to be drained, but you do need that person that goes, "Oh, hold on a second now."
Oh yeah, because you need the.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh no, you definitely from both my companies. You need that adult in the room, and we have those. It's like, hey, well, this could go wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be the adult in the room here for a second. You're right. Like, I want to believe in the future, and I'm optimistic about it. But look, like this program right here, right, StreamYard that we're streaming out to all over the world, it's amazing, right? But if I try to say, "Hey, developers, I'm working on the other end. I've done hundreds and hundreds of shows. One day it would be great if you could make me a virtual green room where I can hear what the outgoing broadcast is going to sound on, like on YouTube, so that I can manage my controls right on my end." I'd have no idea what this show sounds like. Now I've built in some help on the front end, right? But they don't offer me any feedback. It's not a simple thing that takes some work to do. But if we have robots writing code, surely we can build a virtual green room. Here's the problem. There's not an engineer at StreamYard that will talk to me. I can't get a person to pick up the phone and go, "Hey, you use this product all the time. Oh my gosh, we never thought about it." And that's one idea, right? So there is a disconnection between putting the humanity in the human products that I don't know that engineers are good at solving.
Yeah, no, the engineers, I mean, don't get me wrong, I do love my engineer friends. I have plenty of engineer friends.
Of course.
But interacting with an engineer is obviously, it's different than interacting with the customer. Like, but that's where I think the open source nature of Web3 comes into play. So the thesis behind Web3 is open source, decentralized. So in Web3, most things are open source. So like, yes, StreamYard has their secret sauce, their secret code where they can't see it. But then if it were a Web3 project, you can see that, you can take that code, then you can copy and paste it and edit it to your design. And the cool thing about open source software is it makes Web3 composable, meaning everyone just copies off of, like you solve a problem once and you solve it for everyone. And then on top of that, it makes it scalable, meaning like, oh, Nike enters Web3, or let's say you produce your product for StreamYard. It's like, okay, you produce this, now like Apple Podcasts can produce it too. And now the other company has to do that too. So not everyone has the same software and you just kind of optimize it. So it creates a nice little upward spiral. But then to play devil's advocate, like, well, how does StreamYard make their money if everyone's just copying and pasting their code? And I think that's where you have to, maybe who knows? Maybe community comes into play. Like, maybe StreamYard better get this is just purely hypothetical. But at that point, it's like, maybe StreamYard would have to treat their creators with, like, incentivize the creators to be there if everyone can do that. So then it creates a better experience for the creator, which, well, honestly, I wouldn't be opposed to that either. So,
yeah. There is, you're bringing up a topic that's really interesting. And I'll say a word slow so everybody can understand it. It's called disintermediation. And basically, we'll use Uber as an example. I'm not against Uber, just using them as an example. If I was to drive for Uber, I am not in charge of what I charge for my ride. So if I want to set my rate at X pennies per mile, or whatever it's going to be, I don't get to do that. they definitely elevate the rate for demand, but I don't get necessarily more money, right? And so when you talk to an Uber driver, like, how much are you getting for this ride? I'm paying $38. Like, I get 3. I'm like, whoa, 3. So what does the driver want to do? They want to build a book of business. If I was driving Uber, and I don't drive Uber, so I'd be handing out my business card. If you ever need a ride, call me. I'll give you the same rate or better as what you get. I'll come for you. You know, and maybe it isn't always convenient, but if you're in that business going to and from the airport, let's do airport rides all day long, $50 a head, and just slay. Oh, I'm saying $50, whatever that number is. That disintermediation where Uber has to bring value to the driver enough to make that relationship important. Because the only thing the rider cares about is okay, getting there, maybe some safety. That's probably a pretty significant thing. If you can do that without Uber, all of a sudden you don't need Uber. And a lot of these companies struggle with that need to be valuable to both parties.
Yeah, the thing with Uber, and I would say it's so much Amazon too. It's like the Amazon example; they really care about the customer, but the brand selling product usually gets pretty shafted in terms of fees and returns. It's an unpleasant thing for them. But at the same time, the brand needs Amazon accounts to get the sales, so like they're stuck in a hard place. And Uber, the drivers usually, if you're Uber driving, you would like the money, so that's why you're doing it. Right. So the decentralization, if it could work, and I don't know the technicals behind it, but my friends are actually working on something called Drive. So it's a decentralized version of Uber based on cryptocurrency. So hypothetically, that could take out the middleman. You could set your own fees and be like, okay, here's my riding and here's my ride fee. It's like $5 an hour. Anyone can come in and take that contract, then you can drive them, and then the payment goes directly between the driver and the customer. So that would create, I guess, more liquidity of rides. Because like right now, if you want a ride, it's either yourself or Uber or Lyft. I don't even use Lyft anymore. So it's pretty much just Uber. But now if everyone can become their own Uber type of thing, then that could lower the cost for everyone, which I think would be pretty sweet. And I do love Uber drivers are pretty sweet too. Like they're like, I don't know, Uber drivers are such hustlers. I've been in so many Uber rides where they're just trying to show me their own stuff. They're just like, you know what? Yeah, like they'll have their own QR code in the back. It's like, oh, you're staring this whole time. Like, you gotta respect the game. So I do like seeing that they're taking advantage of that.
Yeah. I used to be the number one task rabbit in the Bay Area for a long time. And I would just outwork everybody else. But I also bent the rules to my advantage. And I always pirated clients if possible until I built a book of business where I didn't have to task rabbit anymore. So let me just say this, because this is important. I had figured out a lot of the holes in their business. So they'd bring a guy like me and some other top task rabbit people in to say, hey, what's it like out there? And I'm like, okay, first off, I'm in the startup world. You're offering me cheese fucking pizza and a plate of I guess that's rocket and some balsamic. What do you feed your people here? Because I know what startups feed each other. And so you're already looking down on me. I came back to them one time and I knocked on the door. Hey, I want to set up a meeting with the CEO. I've got a brilliant idea to help you guys. Because it's always hard for these companies to start the new product, right? And could not get the time of day. They'd let me bring a foosball table to them, which I did, but they would not set up a business meeting with me. And here's what I was going to pitch. I was going to be like, hey, we make a ton of money picking, shopping, and assembling IKEA. You guys need to have this be a specific line. Could not get anybody to listen to me. You know who bought TaskRabbit? IKEA. And so, look, and this is before that happened, way before. So we have that problem of these companies trying to figure out how to satisfy human needs, but they don't seem to talk to humans very well, man. I know we're kind of going back in a circle on this. How does a company make sure that it's got the end user in mind? How does it hold itself accountable, or does it matter? Maybe I'm old fashioned.
No. I think that's a big problem right now. I think it 100% matters. I think people are extremely important. And I would say the reason that the companies like, I guess, TaskRabbit, they're not really great at, first of all, it's hard to, once you're scaling up and have millions of customers, it is kind of hard to talk and listen to them. But then that's really going to be your competitive edge. But I would say the biggest issue lies with a disconnect of incentives between like the VC and the customer. So, okay, do I do best for my shareholders or I do best for the customer? So that's where I think people like the VCs like, oh, you guys have to do this, and this. And they're like, well, I mean, it'd be best for the customer. Well, you guys need money to pay your employees, so we're going to do this. And then it creates a big mess and the customer gets screwed over. So I think that's something where AI can actually really help with that. And that's something that dating app for building is going to be good at. So like I said, AI is really good at pattern recognition at scale, but it's also really good at it can be really good at sourcing feedback in terms of creating recursive feedback loops. So like, let's say, for example, your TaskRabbit, you're trying to you're speaking with customer service. If you're speaking with a human customer service, like you do your thing, blah, 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 it gets logged, it gets loaded, but it gets forgotten over and over in time. Whereas if you're talking with an AI agent or an AI assisted human agent, they can log that feedback, pick up patterns across all the customers you're talking about. If they notice a specific issue, they can dive into more of that specific issue and then find out more to better support the customer. So that's how AI can help. And then Web3, it can help too, if you can share the profits with the customer. So for example, like ShopX, we created some NFT programs for well, the thing about an NFT, it stands for a non-fungible token. It essentially creates a connection between a creator and consumer, and whatever form that takes, it's the form it takes. So it could be an e-commerce brand, it could be an influencer, it can be a star, like a sports star, it can be whatever. But like, let's say hypothetically and I've seen brands do this in the past. Like, let's say hypothetically, a shoe brand, what this guy did is he created an NFT loyalty pass for his customers, because the issue was that he'd launch a new shoe and then the bots would come in and swoop it up immediately and flip on the secondary market for 10 times the profit. Then his customers, who are like kids who are linked to hyper stuff, they wouldn't get the product, so they're unhappy. So he created an NFT loyalty program for them. And then that's all the botting issues. So now like they get first access to all the products that never got broken. But on top of that, he created a specific section in his Discord channel for his NFT pass holders. And then they gave him feedback. They helped him create designs because he knew who his loyal customers were. Because like, again, I'm just spitballing here. It's like you have a million customers. Sure. It's hard to keep track of all that feedback. But if you know who your diehards are, like let's say out of the million, there's 100 diehards who like love the shit out of your brand. That may be more effective because there'll be a voice with other customers too. Like the million, like my mom, she buys something, she doesn't really give a shit. But the guy who really gives a fuck, he would be a good voice for them. So you can help identify your loyal fans and better listen to them. And on top of that, if they have the NFT pass, your brand goes up, then their NFT pass hypothetically goes in value. So it's creating incentive, because like the thing is, you need good incentives. So it's creating incentives for you to share your value with the NFT founders or your community over the shareholders. So like I think that could be a cool concept to play with. But yeah, dude, like I don't like seeing customers get shafted. That's like annoying. You're just like
I've got a cool concept. You do open source, and you can build your own waiting service. So you're like, hey, because all these restaurants are like, we just can't get enough staff, right? And so the quality of the experience has gone down, which makes the quality of, or the times I'm going to go to these places go down. So you say, I'm going to build a book of business. I'm open from Tuesday to whatever, Sunday, these hours, and I'll be at these restaurants and I'll be your waiter. Now, obviously, you've got to do the back end and work with the restaurants. But if you're bringing in parties of 80 people over the course of 6 hours or whatever it is, and there's something there, and you just become a professional waiter, you charge your rate. Obviously, the restaurant gets their cut from the food, and you take out a lot of the demands on employee headcount that you have to maintain. And then you got all the crazy people in the food industry, Yeah. I think there's a real thing there where you can disrupt that model and just become a world-class 5-star wait person who just crushes it and develops a powerful book of business. And you like, I have too many, nights. You can't book me. I'm totally booked out. And you're making, they make really good money if you've cut out a lot of the middlemen. And especially if you've got your own token. And that thing is smart enough to go out and do a lot of the work for you as well. So you're not having to do all of the accounting and building and everything else that goes along with all that.
Yeah, no, and that's where technology helps people focus on what they're really good at. Like if that's what you're good at, you have to worry about like accounting and that. Because the thing is, if you're doing that and you have to worry about accounting, that's a giant time and energy suck, which is taking away from your craft, which is again taking away from your service, which is again and that's really just an inefficiency of energy. And I like that too, because it could scale across. Like it could be a waiter, it could be a barber, it could be anyone in the service industry, like a professional chauffeur, like teacher. It's like you can create your own book of business. And this is where the Web3 technology comes in. And going back to a point you mentioned, it's like when you're driving Uber, you were getting people off Uber and into your own book of business or email list or whatever the case may be. It's like when you're on social media, what's one of the first rules of social media? It's like get them off Instagram, because Instagram could just cancel you, and put them in your own email flow. And so this way people could do that, but create their own book of business, but with a token, because you know exactly who your people are. And in this case, it's like the creator NFTs or RWAs, creates a connection between a creator and consumer. And this is just me as the waiter and you as a customer. There's connection between us. You know where I'm going. You follow me around because you like my wait service. So the restaurant gets business. So it's a win-win. I think it'd be pretty sweet. Obviously it's easier to talk about than to actually build out, but yeah, no, that could be cool. Another thing is like you can post because you can create like a decentralized network too. Like for example, OpenSea, and this is kind of what ShopX is doing. It's like OpenSea, anyone posts their NFT, they purchase it. That's great. I can post my service with my reviews on my restaurants, and then people can go in and bid for my service. So if I'm putting it too high, no one buys it. Okay, well, looks like I lower the price. Or if people are purchasing it, just bids it up. So create like a balancing aspect, which I think would be pretty sweet. Like I would get paid, the customer gets their service, the restaurant gets a cut in the customer. So it's a win-win. So a concept I really love in business too, and just in general, is like I won't enter forceful relationship. I only enter powerful relationships like this podcast. A forceful relationship, it's not sustainable because one party wins, one party loses. So eventually one party's like, fuck this, I'm out. Whereas in a powerful relationship, it's like both parties win. So so that makes it sustainable and room for growth. So that could create that, which that'd be pretty sweet. Just people bidding up their service. And yeah, it can be for entertainers, musicians, shows.
Sure. Yeah. Exactly.
Anyone who's trying to serve people with a human touch. And that's where the human touch would come and play. And it'll force you to be good service because not going to bid top dollar for some bad service. Like, no, like actually, no, you mentioned I go to my barber because and don't get me wrong, if he was listening, he cuts a mean cut of, well, I haven't been in like years, but I go, he cuts a mean cut of hair, but I just simply like the dude. So I've been going to him for years. Whenever I need a haircut, I just like, hey, when are you free? And I just go up to the barbershop, and that's how I do it.
But like legitimately, you could be like, I'm going to do Italian night, Mexican night, Chinese night, whatever it is, right? And just, work 20 different restaurants throughout the month. And that restaurant's loving you coming in, and then, and I'm going to do a banquet, whatever it's going to be. And it is great because they can say, hey, we want that mariachi band that you feature. And then, bam, you bring your mariachi band or your guy with, the acoustic guitar. And I'm making these things up. But these are all things that we love. And you're right, you would know this person and they would be like family. And they'd be like, hey, what's going on? And they would, do all the things that needed doing, but at a level that has familiarity in it, which is so powerful. And again, great for the restaurant if you can manage that relationship between those two businesses.
Yeah, no, and like everyone's like I think like the thing is like now with our digital age, I think this is a big problem too. It's yes, we're all 4 degrees connection between everyone, but does that really mean anything? Right. But then people are more lonely than ever. But like whereas like when you create the connection with the person, you become like family, like friends. Like you're not going to screw over someone you're more likely to you're not going to screw over someone personally, or like who comes in every week because they're homie, they're part of the restaurant, they're part of the culture, they're part of the community. Bad karma if you do. But it's like in the face of society we have now, it's like of like automated bots, it's like you lose that personal service, which long term I see families going back that too. Like I hopefully I see big cities. I'm near LA too. I would like a world where they come back to small, tight-knit communities where like all your neighbors know each other. Like I go to my neighbor, I can borrow a cup of sugar. It's no issue. I think that's where people are happiest too. So if we can apply that to that level of happiness to restaurants or any service industry, I think that'd be cool.
Yes. The smartness of money in the web 3.0 and just in general, like the coin world. You really can make a coin that goes to your buddy who's an accountant, and you guys can build that coin so it's smart. And that accountant's like just double checking the work, making sure everything's good. They still make money doing accounting, but you guys have made decisions based upon, how you want to transact your business. Of course, your piece for taxes comes over, your piece to that person goes over. Now you're not having to do as much stuff because a lot of it's been automated. Even your investments, like, hey, and from this goes into my Vamp Camping account, and you kind of taken that ARAP accounting piece out and really focusing on what you do. Now, do you trust all of it? No, of course it's your money, you got to check it, but you can already do that. You can already make smart money that does exactly what you want it to do.
Yeah, no, and the thing is, it's like, you get a smart contract that does all that for you on the back end. You definitely want to check it. It's like ChatGPT. It's like, I can whip up a lawyer contract. I can whip up a contract with ChatGPT. Am I going to send that out without having my lawyer check it? Absolutely not. No. But it also is not like an hour's worth of like lawyer billable time. It's more like, hey, this takes you 5 minutes. I know it takes 5 minutes. You can't be charged, And this goes back to the initial thing where it's like, it'll help people at the top, and then people can free up time to work with what they're passionate about. Like, for example, like my lawyer used great guy, very good. I'm probably not the only person sending him stuff for this. So now that I'm drafting the documents, he's just editing it. It's more efficient for both of us. And like you said, like if you're a business person, you're worrying about taxing or accounting, that can be a big pain in the ass, a big energy drain. You can't really focus on your craft. You're spending money you can redirect that. It's like inefficiency of money. It's like and money is energy. So it's like I'm focusing a lot of energy on some bullshit that I really shouldn't be focusing on, where I should be focusing on what I'm good at and let the person who's good at that focus on that.
Okay, so, and I got Brad over here. Brad's my in-house AI expert. So
what's up, Brad?
A lot of what,
hey, how you doing?
We talk about AI, we often talk about the amount of bullshit that people are putting out there, right? And so, like, look, I write down my little summary for this episode, right? And I took your bio that you already have ready. I just ripped that thing off. Sometimes I'd type it, but I don't know you as well. If you came back on, it'd all be me typing it. There is no AI robot that is going to type something that is going to be faster than me typing those 200 words myself. Maybe the formatting of like all the extra websites that no one ever looks at, maybe that part. But the rest of it, I'd rather do it myself because I'd have to proof it, I'd have to rewrite it, edit it, whatever it was going to be. Maybe at some point it'll be better, but I don't want to do that already. I'm already not doing that. Why do I want to add that to my plate? It's not going to buy me any time. And I think a lot of the AI tools and prompts and things like that are just a way to take more of my time. I'm going to give you an example. Here on StreamYard, they will clip little clips from me so I can put them on the web. And it's very helpful because I can publish straight to YouTube, straight to Facebook, whatever, right? That's all great. It writes terrible summaries and it makes terrible edits and I'm not allowed to change them. So it'll be like me talking, you talking, and then it'll be in the middle of two sentences where it does its edit. And I'm like, what the fuck? So now I just do it myself because I can just pick the thing I want. And there's this virality score, 71. They don't have it on StreamYard.
It's a made up number.
It's such bullshit. You don't even know what it means. And then you put it out there and legitimately I'll put it up on YouTube and it'll be like 0 spins. And I'm like, is it 71% that it's going to get fucking 0? Is that what I'm dealing with? So that kind of bullshit, man, it drives me crazy. I know it drives Brad crazy.
Yeah, no, and there's one aspect I'm going to add to the AI bullshit, and I'll play both sides. Like, it's convenient for me. Like, I can't type. All my friends, when I type in my group chat, are like, "Are you an idiot?" I don't even know what this means. Everybody doesn't know what it means. So it helps me get my bass thought down. Like, I'd be like, okay, I have this in a more stoic tone. I have this in a more empathetic tone. So it helps me with that. And I never take the full thing because it's not that good, but I can take sentences off and like play off, and helps me edit. So I can mess around with that on too. And I also view everything in terms of like energy, frequency, vibration. So everything has everything's at a specific vibration. And that's why when you look at like a beautiful piece of art or a beautiful piece of painting, it's like, oh, that's high vibe. That's great. So I don't think AI can copy that, but I think it does enhance. So like it can help me create email inflows, right? Edit it, and then you can just put in like, you can put it in like a service and it can tell you which one opens the most, and you can slightly edit and you can tweak and over and over again. So it helps with that, but no, it's really up to the user.
It may get the knowledge right. It doesn't get the facts right. Like the general knowledge, it probably does get right. So I was actually just writing an essay on this, knowledge and facts. And there's a guy I discovered on LinkedIn who was using AI to generate, using ChatGPT to generate a pre-sales call script, basically for cold calling companies. And he doesn't know anything about their company or whatever. He has ChatGPT just write him a script, and it generally gets like, this company is in the data storage backup business, right? It gets that. It may not get what their particular product does. And then when you go to your prospect and you say, hey, we specialize in data storage backup. I hear that your backup XYZ does such and such. And you use that fact and they can say, close, it really does this. And guess what you have there? You have a conversation, which is the whole goal of a sales call, is to start a conversation. The facts don't have to be right. The general knowledge does, the facts don't. And this is like this new way of thinking that we've got to adopt. It's allowing the bullshit to be bullshit because it actually is generating value for us.
No, I mean, if it starts a conversation,
Yeah.
And then you as a salesman, if you're a good salesman, you should spin it out and then try to get that next call. So
Right.
That could be an intention. So the thing about AI is I think AI I think it really makes three things more valuable. I think sales is going to be more valuable because it's really hard. I don't see AI closing a sale anytime soon. Like for like a high ticket sale, you need a person that's talking you through it. Like you just is what it is. So sales, I think product design and creativity endeavors like that, I think that's going to be human. You need the human touch, you need the human creativity. And the third thing that's going to be hyper valued is just human connection jobs. Like, I don't know. I don't want to get my hair cut by a robot. I want to get cut by a person. So like, I think those three are good to go, and AI can augment a lot of the other things like marketing and copy and all that stuff. If you need to crank out stuff of value, then it can just crank stuff out and it can pull off there. And yeah, it is getting better. If you mess around if you mess around O1s, it's actually really smart. It can be kind of annoying because you have to be nice to get out the good data. But the funny thing about AI too, when you mentioned like it could get the information wrong, it's all about the people programming the AI. So if it's reading off a wrong source, it's going to spit out the wrong source's fact. So I think there has to be some sort of verification system in place. Like, for example, part of the reason I go on podcasts too is, so I think of the Akashic records are essentially some spiritual concept where it's like everything that ever happened, everything that ever will happen, everything that's happened now is located in one place, and you get rid of the zone, you can access this. So I think there's an additional Akashic records. So our audience isn't just my listeners or your listeners. It's these robots who are transcribing our whole podcast and uploading it to the digital Akashic records. And then in the future, when everyone's using ChatGPT as a Google search, they come out and find some positive spin about us, and that would generate more searches. So that's where I'm going with that. And plus, if someone likes our podcast and leave this higher vibe, that's also a spread. So that's cool.
Yeah. Make sure you guys go to shopx.co. There's the website right over there. And that's one reason why we're here is to talk about these things. I wanted to get into, okay, look, everyone's always trying to fix the dating apps, right? I know how to hook you up. And look, I was a spy. So my job is to go out and talk to people. So I just want to go meet the girl that I'm potentially going to date. And I don't mind meeting 1,000 of them. Just, I'm shopping out there. That's how I like to do it. I never really had much luck on the dating sites. So talk a little bit about dataing as an idea and as like a product.
Yeah, so the first thing I want to point out too is I think we're in the same boat. As I've always had the best luck getting dates when I approach a girl in person, feel their energy, and then go from a date for them there. But I also think more and more people are going towards the dating apps. The reason people are going for the dating apps is they're scared of rejection. Like you swipe, no rejection, but like you approach a girl, get rejected. That's tough for a lot of people to handle, and people are getting soft. So that's why more and more people are going to the dating apps. So the three main problems with dating apps are, first, it's the top 5% of users get access to everyone on the app. It creates like a skewed marketplace. The second, it's hot or not, meaning are they hot? Yes, no, swipe left or right. That's not the best way to film a authentic relationship. And the third is an incentive structure behind the dating apps, most of which are owned by Match.com. So there's a monopoly. But let's say Tinder were to match a happy couple. What does this mean? The happy couple then leaves a dating app. This means that Tinder loses a paying customer. Tinder is working with Goldman Sachs. Goldman Sachs would sell their own mother for $5. So this creates an incentive structure for saying like Tinder needs people to go down the app, delete the app, down the app, delete the app, down the app, delete the app. So that's a form of churn marketing that they rely on. And so that's why so many people they're not incentivized to create happy couples. Whereas dating, it's the first ever AI-powered matchmaking service. So what we do is we auto-generate dating profiles for you based on your digital footprint. So what's happening in the back end is you connect all your social media. It creates a whole tagging system based off of you. But like, oh, Dodgers hat, likes to run. It creates a correlation. Oh, he's a super fan. And then it's like, okay, this super fan, this girl is also super into baseball too, but she's a Giants fan. That may not go. Who knows? That could go well. So it creates a whole tagging system in the background. And then it generates matches based on that tagging system. So it could be like 3 matches, Ashley, Kimberly, Jane. Jane seems cool. Tell me more about Jane. I get an AI generated profile from her. Like, okay, that's interesting. It's like, oh, she connected her Facebook. She's the youngest. You're the oldest. That works well. She connected her Instagram. Oh, you both go to a bunch of national parks. Oh, she connected her Apple Music. Oh, did you know that you both follow as one artist who's coming up? There's a concert coming up. Would you like me to suggest a date with Jane? It suggested a date with Jane. She sees my profile. She's like, okay, Eric seems cool. We go on that date. Let's say we fall in love. We get married. Then it can switch from a dating app to a relationship app butler. So like, oh, you guys haven't been on a date in 3 months. The place you had your second date has half off reservations. Or no, going back to our original concept, oh yeah, the waiter we like, he's going to this place. You guys should just follow him. Would you like me to book reservations with him? And that would work with the crypto concept because AI agents like working with cryptocurrencies better than dollars. It's just more convenient for them. So that could hold, obviously we're just bullshitting here, but that could hold play in.
Right.
But like, it's like, oh, Jane has her birthday coming up. She's out of the sync to her Pinterest board. It could make a good gift. And then it can help you on that aspect. Because the difference is we want to be there throughout the whole life cycle. And long term, it can be a community building up too. It's like, oh, these three guys, they've never met before. They're going to podcast. Tap our phones. Personally, I like the podcast where you're just kind of going and flow and just talk about whatever comes up. But like, it's like, what between our three minds, our digital footprints, what can we talk about? It's like, I meet someone in person. It's like, oh, tap. Oh, here's a hangout for you. Or it's like, or even longer term, it's like, oh, I'm walking by Starbucks. I get a notification on my phone. It's like, oh, the girl behind you is also on dating. That could be a really good match. I recommend you go approach her, and then that can combine the best of both worlds. Yeah, that's a fun little experiment.
Yeah. Brad?
Well, I'm just disappointed that he hasn't included X on this and found you the perfect date because somebody follows Not Gaetti.
Oh no,
as you walked out of the room, and no, I know. I was picking a personal example of Pete. Pete is Pete about baseball. He gets into the old historical stats in a ridiculous way, and then Pete is also he's also one of the nice guys about baseball stats in that he'll let his friends who try to hang with him a little bit, he'll let them, kind of pretend like they're hanging with him a little bit, but in his heart, he's off chasing the guy who is basically the Twitter expert at that. Pete, did you hear any of that?
All of it.
Oh, yeah.
That's the kind of thing I would want my AI that is trying to find perfect podcast partners or whatever to find for me.
Oh, he switched. Oh, what? He switched to Giants. But hypothetically, let's say P falls. Let's say there's a giant Twitter fanatic who only giant super fans follow. Theoretically, you could be like, find me my best match who have the most in common, who follows this one person, and then they can find you that type of person. Then you can talk all the giant stuff you want. Or hypothetically, like AI from the movie Moneyball, like it can. So the reason Moneyball is so successful with like Brad Pitt is because he picked out the patterns and he recognized stuff people didn't recognize. AI is really good at that at scale. So theoretically, you can just input all the data from every single game, every single metric that's ever been gathered in baseball, and then it could spit out a plan. Now, whether that works or not, because I do believe in human faith, like there may not be a plan for Barry Bonds just walking to the plate, just slugging something, but like it could give you the best odds to succeed, which will be interesting. And another thing that could be cool to a good use case for Web3 in sports is, so my company ShopX, it's going through a merger, so we'll have a different name soon, but who cares? But so tokenizing real world assets, something cool I would love to tokenize is sports tickets. So let's say hypothetically, I'm a Lakers fan. A lot of times we go to Laker games, we're like, oh, I want to go to Laker game. Like a last minute game when you see tickets are like $60. It's like, yeah, let's go. It's fun. And then you go on Ticketmaster, you buy it's like 120 because of all the stupid fees. Yeah. So all the fees would go away. And let's say hypothetically, I have my ticket. I could post it. Someone could pick the price I decide. Both of you could see the tickets, and then you could just purchase. I could sell it to you directly. And the cool thing is, let's say it's a game. So I was lucky enough to be at the game where LeBron passed MJ in points. So it's a sick experience. But you don't know when that's going to happen. Because the ticket is linked to a digital wallet, so it's a lifelong connection to the digital wallet. They know exactly who was there at that point in time for that memorabilia. So then you could be like, oh, here's an airdrop ticket. And another thing our company does is token gating, meaning if you have a certain NFT, you gain access to the product. Like only people who have this ticket, because you were there, you can go and claim your bobblehead and we'll ship it out to you. So that's a cool way to play with it. Like the Dodgers tournament, it's like, okay, well, people who actually attend the World Series games, you get front row seats for their parade. You can just mess around with that, and that creates a cool connection between creator and consumer.
So I got a serious question for you here, and it's probably going to sound a little bit more like a devil's advocate question. One of the apps I end up having on my phone that I want to delete is the MLB app. But why don't I delete the MLB app? Because I can't go to a baseball game without the MLB app now.
Yeah. Right.
It's now I can't present my ticket and walk in. I can't do anything without that app. And, so then it's like, okay, well, maybe I'll just install it when I need it and delete its data and everything else. And it's right. It's a pain in the neck. And then it's a naggy app it's certainly more naggy than I'm going to put up with than I should.
It's worse than that. Let me say this too. I don't know if this is true for all games, but a lot of times the ticket doesn't release until an hour before the game, and so you just don't know if you've got a ticket. Sure, your robot says you have one, but until you have it, you don't know. And so
that doesn't work for LA traffic at all. That's
sure.
Yeah, you're like, hey, I hope this thing gets here. I hope there's no problem. You know, I don't need to print something off, but I fucking need to know I have it, you know, and just because something said, look, the next time a robot lies to me, he's not going to be the first time. And so that is exasperating when you're trying to, and by the way, depending on how you transact that business, your account is attached to one email. So I have 3 MLB apps, depending on how I buy the ticket. And that is fucking crazy.
Actually, that kind of pissed me off too.
2 burner phones with you, and it's crazy, Pete.
Yeah, no.
What were you saying, Eric?
No, that kind of pissed me, because I didn't think about this too for a while, because it kind of pissed me off, because like one of my dad's workplace comments like, hey, do you guys want to go dodging? I'm like, yeah, of course I'm going to go dodging. How to get tickets? And then, like you said, I had to download that. I'm like, what do you mean I have to download this stupid app? And now the app's just on my phone. I'm about to delete it because in case we get tickets again, but like,
right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you go to 2 or 3 games a year and you're not going to delete it. Yeah,
the Kings have a different app than the Ducks, who have a different app than the Dodgers, have a different app than the, you know, because they have their own proprietary path. It's still the stupid same path, but it has a different app attached to it. So now I have a sports window where I have all my sports apps for tickets. That also is dumb.
Yeah, I could see that being held, but I could see those companies just being owned by the same company. And there's somehow making money on the law. Yeah, but so crypto, Web3 world, AI world, crypto world, you just have one address, so like maybe your wallet address, and you can just hold all your tickets there, and you can scan the chip, it goes in. AI world, I could see, so something that's getting big in Twitter right now is autonomous AI agents. So they're just basically whatever you want to program it to, they're kind of just going in and talking shit. So this could help the sports team too. So like, okay, Giant, and now I'm not using Giants because I'm a Dodgers fan. So hey, Dodgers fans, they could connect to the Dodgers stadium, so they could know which seats are empty for how much money for what time. They're like, okay, then they could blast off ads and directly reach out to the people who are following the team account, most likely to go to the ticket and give them a good deal. So that's how that could all play together. Then you could purchase the ticket. So like AI agents, I could see it working with the way it's like a butler type thing where like Cupid, let's say it wants to be a relationship butler, but like there could be sports butler. It's like, hey, I'm a Dodger fan. I'm going to New York when they play. Can you just find me a ticket for this price, right? And can you purchase to me? They purchase it in cryptocurrency, and then you get it on your phone because it's connected to your wallet. You don't even need to know that cryptocurrency is happening. Great. Now you have the ticket. Scan, you get in. You're like, oh, you have the ticket. It's like, well, I can't go anymore. Last minute business trip. Hey, AI bot, sell this to me. This is my floor. This is my max. Can you do it for me? And it does it for you autonomously. Yeah. I don't know. The thing is, like, the sports teams, they're making money somehow, which is why they're making it sell the app. So there has to be more incentive for them to not use the app than for that to actually take off. And the thing is, that's where game theory comes in. Like, let's say the Dodgers do it. Like, they're like, oh, fuck the stupid app. We're just doing this. And then it's way better and way easier than the other teams kind of have to. So it's a same thing with like Web3 and e-commerce. Like the big brands get first and everyone else had to do it too. So like, I think that's eventually how we all eventually delete the stupid MLB app because I was like, well, why am I Dodgers?
Yeah. And the experience of the ball game is pretty damn good, but the cost of food and the quality of food, it's not good. Right?
Oh my god, yeah, like Dodger. I think the quality of food's getting worse too. Like I had Dodger.
Oh yeah, no, I totally agree. Yeah.
They used to be really good.
But you could opt in, like not with necessarily a smart contract, but something akin to a smart contract where like, hey, I'm going to come in, you have your own, if the team has its own exchange or the league has its own exchange, you could pre-buy things at a discounted cost and then up the quality for fuck's sake. Like if you guys are if Aramark is trying to make money, great, let's have them do that. But I'd like to pay for some good food because it's so bad.
Let me loop this back into e-commerce example because what ShopX does is we help brands create NFT loyalty passes prior to release, like to connect their customers with themselves. So what this one person did is he had no money for a startup because he's just like me and you working as a dog at Instagram. He had an audience but no way to monetize, so he launched an NFT program prior to the release of that. Sold out. He had money to create his product. And so on top of that, he knew how much product to make because he's like, okay, 500 people bought the pass, 500 people are going to do that. So that could be applied to like sports everywhere. And dude, my brother went to the game, like he went to the Chargers game yesterday. So he was in the suites type thing. So he came back with a big supply of food. So they didn't sell enough sweets, so there's just an like an overload of like sausages, burgers, and chicken tendies. I like tendies, like, but overload of food. So now like all the patrons are taking it, the workers are taking it home, and that would decrease the loyalty of the ticket. So yeah, if they knew what to make beforehand, they could actually make the proper amount, which I think would be cool. And
yeah,
and then on top of that, it's like a big issue is a big thing that we're solving too is authenticity. So that's the form of like RWA, real world assets. Like imagine you buy a 250K watch, you scan it, you can like trace it back to the dealer. That's great. The dealer on the flip side, they can be outsold once, twice, 3, 4 times. They get that data, and then they can also take a cut with program smart contracts. So every time it's sold in the secondary market, you get 5 things. But back to sports world, like you can actually trace. You can be like, okay, I'm buying an autograph. Is this a real autograph? Because like it's easy to fake. Great. It's a real autograph. Was it stolen or anything? Great. So that could be a good thing. And then on top of that, the MLB, because I know they're really annoying about this, is they can manage the secondary sales. So they can be like, okay, I know who's selling this, so it can get rid of the gray market, which I think decreases the amount of fakes, which is overall good for customers.
I'd love to see MLB disrupt even further, like with the broadcasting. Obviously, the regional sport networks, that thing isn't working. So not only like open up so everybody can watch in whatever game they want, charge a fair price of money for that, but also allow me to become a broadcaster on their network. So I pay, let's say I pay $1,000 for a license to create my own broadcast. Look, I'm not going to swear and whatever, and I can represent their brands. And talk about Farmer John hot dogs, who they don't represent anymore, but whatever it is, and then I can sell my own ads.
Is that why the Dodgers dogs got worse? Are they no longer using Farmer John?
I think so. I think they got worse then, but just the bread is terrible now too.
Yeah,
but I want to go back to
no, this is a cool thing that's possible with cryptocurrency and micropayments. So like, let's say you buy an MLB League Pass, you get every game you don't want. Who cares about the other games? But you want to see the games you want to see. So theoretically, you can play on a second by second basis. So it can just track how many seconds you play, and then it can create a secondary marketplace. Okay, well, maybe the popular games are worth more, whereas the less popular games are worth less, which will incentivize more people to watch the secondary games. And the cool thing is too, if you were to build let's say you, in this futurist example, you come in and start broadcasting, or people are paying by the second to watch the games, the amount of time, as many eyeballs as you get on your broadcast, you could get paid by the second too. So if you run it decentralizes broadcasting essentially. Like everyone could be on their broadcast, and like you could have your flavor, everyone could have their flavor. So every second of you, you can be getting paid. You can be getting paid by the second, and on an incentive factor, if you're getting paid by the second, you're more likely to produce a good show and represent the brand well. And at any point in time, like you guys, they can cut you off too. They're like, okay, well, you're just cussing inappropriate stuff, and that's reasonable to cut you off. So like, I think it's a win-win for everyone. Like me as a customer, I get to watch you. I think you're irritating, dude. I'm watching you because I choose to, and my money would go to you, which is something I like too. Because again, you're in the position of service to me and the customer, which is great. The brand obviously gets their eyeballs, they're winning, and you're getting paid, so you're winning, which I think would be pretty cool.
I think so. Yeah, I mean, it seems scary, right? But why wouldn't you have 10,000 channels broadcasting your game? And look, we know now that there's all these brands on YouTube or X or all TikTok. Oh my God, right? If you just said, I'm just going to broadcast on TikTok to my audience, the Dodgers would have to say, yes.
Yeah.
Please, you've got 10 million people. We can't get 10 million people right now. Whatever that number is. It's possible to do that in a month. I mean, imagine if Mr. B said, I'm going to start broadcasting all the Laker games. He's not going to keep his whole audience, but he pulls Super Bowl numbers every month. That's an amazing thing.
And to go to the brand side, they would definitely say yes to this. As a brand, I would be like, I wouldn't want to do this because social media is all bottled up. But that's where, and with AI, that's going to get worse too. Just a bunch of AI fake people trying to sell a bunch of stuff. So like, social media is good at targeting ads, but imagine an AI world where it's like it knows exactly what type of content to feed you and can start finding that content. But that's where Web3 and AI could come together. So like each individual profile can get a verification. It's like, okay, you got your human. Like there's something called soul tokens. It's like bound to person. So you can attach a token to a specific account that's verified. So like, okay, well, yes, Mr. Beast, you have 50 million users watching us, but 25 million are real. Granted, that's a big number. We don't want to pay for the fake ones. And Mr. Beast can be like, yeah, well, that makes sense. That's reasonable. So again, everyone wins. The brand gets like that. Because that's something social media influencers always do. It's like, I'm sure you've seen influencers like, hey, I'll post this picture for Because I did affiliate marketing too. So we had like a SaaS platform that did that. We're like, hey, I'll post this picture of your product for 5K and millions of people will see it. But we're like, well, how many sales do you get? Because they're all bought it. Well, you get one. Well, everyone's like, no. So it creates a more pay per performance type of thing where it's like, yes, if Mr. Beast, and this is the cool thing too, because like it incentivizes micro influencers too. It's like, yes, Mr. Beast may get 25 million views, but the person at 1,000, hey, they may get 1 million, they may go viral and they get paid too. And then it incentivizes, as a Dodgers, it will incentivize user generated content creation on their behalf. And then they get tons of free content. So that's what they're after. That'd be good. So yeah, no, that's a win-win. Obviously, like it's a lot easier just talk about all this tech stuff. It's implementations are much more difficult, but yeah, once someone does it, everyone has to do it. So that's because you can't game theory.
You gotta let Brad talk.
Oh, sure. Thanks, Pete. Sorry, I've had noisy dogs here that I've been fighting off screen. To back up a little bit, it sounds like what the problem that you're trying to solve is remove ownership of the pay points and remove ownership of the measurement points. Because like when you have ownership of the pay points and centralized ownership of that, you have centralized ownership of the measuring points, you get a situation like, let's just pull this in, YouTube TV. This week, everybody is seriously pissed off that YouTube TV is going to raise their prices by $10 a month next month. Now, why can they do that? Because monopoly is the wrong word, but they really have the best solution for gathering a bunch of channels that you can access on your television right now. They have that. And so they have that power to go and raise that price. They started at what, $35 a month 5 years ago? And now it's almost up to 80, and what happens with a situation like that is that everybody who's getting paid, the people who own the channels and whatever, and certainly the conglomeration of channels, they go to YouTube TV and they say, you're going to pay us more. You're going to pay us more for Big Ten Network. You're going to pay us more for, even back in the day with cable, it was Sportsnet LA here in Los Angeles, right? Sportsnet LA broke everybody's bank on behalf of the Dodgers and the Lakers, So it seems like if you can take the ownership of the payment and of the delivery away from bundlers of those things, that suddenly we're on a fair playing field where people can buy what they want and sell what they want, and that seems to be the goal of tokenization schemes and whatever else.
Yeah, I can see that. It's essentially taking out the middleman. So essentially taking out people just extracting value. So like the way I think about it is like ShopX is creating liquidity of e-commerce products and dating is creating a liquidity of matches. If you're trying to sell an e-commerce product, you have to go to Amazon. You kind of get raked over the coals fees and it's just unpleasant. And I'm sure this, like I don't have a YouTube channel, but it sounds like YouTube is Amazon equivalent, and same with dating. It's like you have to go through Tinder. It's just a buzzsaw. Whereas if you can create more liquidity, prices naturally actually fall and it create more balance. So like, yeah, that could happen. And theoretically, so I'll say the way e-commerce could potentially work, and I'm sure you can loop it back to YouTube. It's like essentially you can create a tokenized version of each individual product SKU. You can upload it to the global database, aka the blockchain, attach an incentive to sell it, and then everyone could sell everyone's products. So I could sell Amazon product, or I can sell Nike products. Nike can sell Lululemon products. Adidas can sell both products. So like I go to the Nike store, I'm like, oh, I want this pair of pants. Great, I purchase the pants, but I want this Lululemon shoes that go with it. Great, I purchase Lululemon shoes. Lululemon gets extra customer. Nike gets a commission. I get both products. Everyone's happy. And if everyone's selling everyone's product, then the price of overall product should theoretically become cheaper because it just creates more liquidity. So that's hopefully what we're trying to create. Whereas in the YouTube version, I would say the bigger problem with the YouTube studios is not so much that they're charging fees. And that also known about Amazon. It's like they give you like credits and they void the credits for no apparent reason. So it's kind of like raising the price. Like, well, now you have to buy more credits. Like, well, that wasn't the original deal. So I would say the bigger problem with the YouTube studios is the fees is probably annoying, and it's just funneling the money from the people who are trying to make it because like let's say it costs you an extra $10 a month. That may not be a lot of money, but hey, $10 is $10. But it's like if that's like you're kind of not big yet. You're in the red. So try because growing a channel, you have to consistently put it. You're in the red. That could discourage you. So it's pushing more power and money to the top channels because all the bottom is getting more squeezed. But the bigger issue, I would say, is the non-ownership of the content, meaning I could say something on this podcast hypothetically, and then YouTube owns the content, whereas like it's YouTube's content. They can sell our content, they can spice it up however they want, but they could cancel us. So like, I could say something right now, and then 10 years down the line, I say you guys are both dudes. 10 years down the line, that's not okay. They can retroactively cancel all of us, which is a big problem if that's our business. Like I had this friend, she had an Instagram store. She sold stuff on store. She posted a picture of her kid, like it was a normal kid. They're swimming. He's shirtless. It's good swimming. And they got flagged as something, and then everything got taken down. She had to go through the whole approval process. And if AI agents are the ones going to be doing the scraping for inappropriate content, just flagging people, and if AI agents are programmed by certain parties, that could produce problems in the future. It's like, okay, well, if Google's one programming, I'm not sure how good that is for everyone. So
yeah,
that's what
right now I can't get paid by YouTube. I can't figure out why. I just know that my accounts are blocked. And
yeah,
so I go through
the
help folders, and it's like, do this step, and I'm like, okay, and I do this step, I do the next step, and do the next step, and then they're like, you're receiving payments, and then the next email comes through, you're not receiving payments, and I'm like, all right, well
then YouTube pays you, and then Stripe's the one that cancels you, or PayPal's the one that cancels you.
Oh my God! Yes.
And God forbid you're going against like a powerful company like government or Amazon or something like that. Like governments, like they will just target you. They can excommunicate you. You may not be doing anything wrong, but you may piss off Amazon. Like, hey, and then they can find their person and put pressure on that. So like, yeah, that's the whole thing. And that's I don't think content or currency should. So to me, content is currency. I think money and content are the same thing. It's like having either of those canceled just based for any because we both know how arbitrary my Twitter's banned for no reason. It's like, what? I just woke up. It's like, why is it banned? I don't fucking know. I think a competitor reported me for no reason, and there's
mine just got stuck, and it's stuck now. Like the subscription prompt, it's like verifying. And my buddy Not Gaetti, he's been verifying for over a year, and like you. So then X has the audacity to come to me and say, "Hey, we'd like you to buy ads." Well, who am I going to call when there's a problem? Oh, it's not a problem. And I'm like, here's 2 problems you can't solve right now. And they're like, we can't solve those problems. You want to buy ads? It's like, dude, so all of these things were these middlemen. Yeah. And they insert themselves like, I didn't know I had a Stripe account. Oh, geez. Okay, great. Thanks. Oh, God, it's so crazy. I am looking forward to this more, democratized forms of business transactions for sure. Because the folks doing it now just create more passwords, more problems, more breaches. They all put a password on there, so I can't get into my account, but the Chinese people can't. Hey, Chinese people, no offense. Drives me crazy.
Pete, that's what you're supposed to have 2FA for everything. So that you have to memorize your phone number to give it the 2FA thing.
Yes. I want to make sure we cover all the bases here. We've talked about ShopX. We've talked about dating. What else do you want to get into before we wrap this up?
So the one thing I always like talking about is I just came a year back. I came from a 10-day Vipassana meditation retreat in Joshua Tree, California. It was 10 full days, full meditation. It's the method that the Buddha used to reach enlightenment. It was one of the most beautiful transformative experiences I ever wanted to. So if that interests you, just check out their website. It's completely free. You just sign up, join. Your room is provided for, your food is provided for, you just have your room, meditation hall, a walking path, and a dining hall, and that's it. So I think more people should check that out.
Tell me the website so I can write it in here. Tell me the website.
Dharma.org.
Dharma.org. Okay, got it.
Bam. But yeah, no, that was a sweet one.
Yeah, absolutely. Brad, anything in closing before we wrap this up?
No, that was pretty interesting. My man, you are the fire hose of NFTs, and I say that in a very positive way. There's a lot to understand there, and the only way that anybody's really going to get a grasp of what these things are good for is to hear the whole story over and over and over. So, your appearances on podcasts like this certainly help with that.
No, thank you, and I really appreciate you guys both having me. It was a blast. You're both chill guys. I enjoyed talking to you both.
Yeah, I want to go to a Dodger game. Let's do that next year and knock that.
Yeah, dude, they're so stacked.
We'll put it all through my MLB app if you like. So
there you go.
But yeah, no, let's keep in touch, and I'm actually pretty down for a Dodger game. That'd be fun.
Always. All right, everybody else, I'll see you tomorrow, and you guys stay here, and I'll say goodbye in a second. Everybody else, tomorrow. Hey, thanks for watching the show. I really appreciate it. Right here, you can subscribe. Please do that. It makes the show grow. Hit that notification bell so you know which incredible guest is coming up next. Down below is the PayPal link. You can put a small subscription in. That is an enormous help. All that money goes right back into the show. And then right up over here are the next episodes you should listen to, curated by your